Hello and welcome to the Sydney Sports Ground for this World Cup qualifier in the Soccer World Cup between Australia and New Zealand. The match that promises to be the showdown of showdowns as far as this World Cup campaign is concerned. The weather here in Sydney is absolutely beautiful. A little bit of a breeze blowing in from my left and quite a big crowd with us today as well. Well, the situation in this Oceania group, of course, is that at the moment Australia leads the group, but just by 1 point from New Zealand. So if whichever team wins this match, despite the fact that New Zealand have a match in hand, will be going in against Scotland in the next match. With me again is Johnny Warren. Johnny, just up the road from here, about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, we met our Armageddon when New Zealand did us in, and that was the end of our World Cup campaign then. We've come a long way since then, but have we come long enough to do them today?
Well, that's a big question, of course. It's very much like a cup final, as I see it. Two very evenly matched teams. You have similar styles that they play. Their past records are very close. A very close cup final type game where the team with the better nerves that settles down first takes its chances, makes the fewer mistakes, will win.
Okay, John, let's hold it there now for the national anthems. One in Australian soccer in the last 10 years, probably longer than that, and certainly the match where Australia will have the most pressure brought upon them, as opposed to the match in Auckland where of course New Zealand have to cope with all the pressure, John.
Yeah, well, I would think Australia have said it themselves. If we can't beat New Zealand, we don't deserve the right to play Scotland. But the game in New Zealand, I think, is a bad memory for the Australian teams. I think they're much capable of more than they showed there, and I think today is going to be their day, hopefully.
Okay, John, we all hope that. Well, let's just see how those team lineups shape up for today. Crossing to our commentator, Mike Hill.
Well, Australia have no injury problems. Kenny Murphy, Alan Davison and Steve O'Connor have all recovered. And this lineup shows just one change from the side that drew 0-0 in Auckland back in September. And that is that Zarko Ozhakov is missing and Alan Davison comes in at the right full-back position. Well, New Zealand have also made one change from that day in September, and that is the recall of Ricky Herbert, who used to play, of course, at Sydney Olympic, now a professional with Wolverhampton Wanderers in England. He comes back to make his first appearance in this World Cup campaign for the All Whites and replaces Declan Edge. So Alan Both, who will be well known to West Adelaide fans, having spent part of the 1982 season in the Southern Capital. And it could be a worrying afternoon for Frank Harrock and that Australian bench. They know this afternoon that a win would ensure them of a spot against Scotland at Hampden Park on the 20th of November. So New Zealand, who really in recent seasons have had the wood over Australia. Last Australian win was 3-1 in Sydney back in 1977. John Kosmina that day was one of the goal scorers for the Socceroos. The officials today are all from Holland. The referee is Mr. Hertz. He's a sales rep, and today refereeing his 50th FIFA International. The linesman with the yellow flag, Mr. Bakker, and with the red flag, Mr. Mulder. So a lot depends for Australia today on that man there, the number 11, Oscar Crino. He's been in fine form in recent weeks, and certainly that form will be badly needed by the Socceroos this afternoon. Oscar Crino, who scored one of Australia's goals last weekend in that 8-0 run of Chinese Taipei. So the two skippers, Alan Both of New Zealand and John Kosmina, the Australian skipper. Today making his 45th full international appearance for the Socceroos. And in fact, for John Kosmina today, his 86th appearance in the green and gold. So certainly a good crowd here at the Sydney Sports Ground. In fact, this will be the last match played on this ground before it's knocked down for redevelopment. The pitch itself looks in good nick, but in fact is very bumpy and very hard. So the teams will change ends for the kickoff, with Australia in the first half will be kicking from left to right. New Zealand bench there. Sitting back, relaxing, is their coach, Kevin Fallon. He certainly hasn't endeared himself to the Australian media since the New Zealand side arrived. I would think if there was a poll for the most uncooperative man in soccer in the world, he'd win it hands down. Our referee there is Mr. Hertz from Holland. And a big day for him, his 50th FIFA International. So it'll be Australia who get us underway. They'll be kicking from left to right in the first half. In fact, New Zealand will have the advantage of quite a stiff breeze. So John Kosmina and David Mitchell get this game underway for the Socceroos. And now this is Joe Watson. Davidson missed the two games against Chinese Taipei through injury, easily dispossessed that time by Winston Rufer. Still Rufer, and running out of space. The ball out of play for a goal kick. Winston Rufer, who defied his club FC Zurich to play last weekend against Israel and scored the opening goal in just 2 minutes. So the first touch for Terry Greedy. Mitchell beaten that time in the air, away there by Murphy. Now Kosmina. Crino picking up the loose ball, trying to spread it wide for Graham Jennings. This is Creswell. Long searching ball forward for Walker. Back New Zealand playing Ricky Herbert at the back in preference to Declan Edge, who's a more attacking player. So the first touch now for Frank Van Hatten. O'Connor winning that challenge in the air and doing some pushing, says the referee. Free kick for New Zealand. So Kenny Creswell, chance to plant this one forward. Ricky Herbert, Kerry Evans have also moved forward. As Creswell takes this one away there by Steve O'Connor. Now Shane Rufer. The shot from Rufer finishes up well wide. Shane Rufer, the older brother in fact of the two Rufers, plays as a fullback. But on the end of this clearance from Steve O'Connor, hit it first time, always rising, and no danger for Terry Greedy. So now David Ratcliffe. Watson, still Joey Watson. Losing out that time. Jennings there with the challenge, which brings down Winston Rufer. So another free kick for New Zealand, which the referee will have retaken. So this is Alan Both. So Alan Both planted this one forward. There's a push in there against Grant Turner. Well spotted by the referee. So a free kick for the Socceroos. Mr. Hertz keeping a tight control on this match in the first 3 minutes. So part of this mass crowd here at the Sydney Sports Ground is Charlie Yankos, is the player that plants it forward for Australia, looking for Kenny Murphy. Kenny Murphy, who was in doubt for this match, was injured in the first game against Chinese Taipei and missed the second game last weekend. So a throw for New Zealand. Now Winston Rufer being pushed in the back again by Steve O'Connor. So another free kick for New Zealand. Now Walker. Way there from the challenge from David Ratcliffe. The ball out of play, the throw goes to the Socceroos. David Ratcliffe, who became a father this week. As Alan Davison takes the throw. Off the head there of Ricky Herbert. Now Davidson. For David Mitchell. Mitchell there with the good leap, winning that challenge in the air. That's where David Mitchell really has been so dangerous in all of these qualifying matches. Now Oscar Crino. Still Crino. The challenge came in from Colin Walker. Score of the third goal last week for New Zealand against Israel. So David Ratcliffe. Looking for Cosmina. Dunford was the player in there, and then he was caught by that challenge from Alan Davidson. So Malcolm Dunford. Taking the free kick himself, in fact, and playing it all the way back to Frank Van Hatten. So Ratcliffe, wide for Jennings, who's beaten that time by Colin Walker. Still Walker. Plenty of players forward, he can't get past Jennings. Now Shane Rufer, and running that one over the byline, and out of play for a goal kick. So Shane Rufer, who will get forward at every opportunity, also plays for the FC club in Zurich. So Terry Greedy leaves the goal kick now for Charlie Yankos. That came off the head, in fact, of Kenny Murphy. So a throw now to New Zealand on that far side. 6 minutes gone, still no score. Now Walker. Just hooking that one inside, away by Charlie Yankos. Now Oscar Crino. This is Graham Jennings. Mitchell. Trying to sell the dummy, and tripped as he went past. So a free kick this time, quickly taken, and then Jennings is stopped by Shane Rufer. Crino. Jennings beaten that time in the air. Now Watson. Steve O'Connor. Watson just hooking that one forward. The offside flag up, in fact, against John Cosmina. The Australian bench don't agree with that decision. So again, the chance for Frank Van Hatten to get this one well forward with the assistance of quite a stiff breeze at his back. Late challenge that time by David Ratcliffe. Catching, in fact, Grant Turner. So a free kick for New Zealand. So Terry Greedy organises his defence as he awaits this free kick to be taken by the New Zealand skipper, Alan Both. Both floating this one in far post. Mitchell back helping his defenders, a good firm header, and away that time by Graham Jennings. Now Creswell. Just playing it forward, the Australian defenders coming out quickly. So Alan Davidson, the player that can bring it forward for the Socceroos. Now Oscar Crino. Davidson. Now David Ratcliffe. Spreading it wide, looking for Murphy. Okay, Murphy beaten in the air that time by Shane Rufer. Watson tidying up, then Jennings. And Jennings caught by that late challenge from Grant Turner. And a yellow card for Grant Turner. So Grant Turner, who really did get away with murder in that match in Auckland, so many times going over the ball, and that really was a late and dangerous challenge, and for that he gets a yellow card. So Grant Turner, who had 3 games with South Melbourne back in 1982, awaits this free kick from Charlie Yankos. Just floating this one in. Kosmina winning that challenge in the air, heading it down, but behind David Mitchell. Now Grant Turner, only his father was Steve O'Connor. Watson trying to switch play. Shane Rufer there away from Kosmina. Now back to Ricky Herbert. Ricky Herbert playing in the central defensive role, although this season he's been playing for his club Wolverhampton Wanderers as a left back. So Ratcliffe so dominant in the air, winning that one again. Now Oscar Crino. Ratcliffe, this time losing out to Grant Turner. And Grant Turner this time with the shot. Finishes up well over the top. Grant Turner, who scored that all-important second goal when these two teams last met in Sydney in a World Cup match. That was back in 1981. He scored the second goal that really killed off Australia, but that time his shot finishes up well over the top. So now Yankos. The best of clearances from Charlie Yankos, charged down by Winston Rufer. Charlie Yankos today making his 15th international appearance for the Socceroos. Now Mitchell, Davidson. David Mitchell picking up the loose ball, still Mitchell wide now for Kenny Murphy. Still Murphy, shot charged down, loose ball picked up by Joey Watson. Still Watson. Floating this one in, looking for Kosmina. Seemed there to be a handball. Referee waves away the Australian appeals. And the back pass to the keeper. But the Socceroos there appealed for a handball. The referee would have none of it. Ball floated in there from Joe Watson, headed down by Kosmina, and certainly there they seemed to hit the arm of Kerry Evans. So a let off there for New Zealand. Steve O'Connor wins that one in the air. Now Shane Rufer. Stopped by Graham Jennings. The loose ball picked up by Oscar Crino. One forward for David Mitchell to chase. Mitchell doing well to keep it in. Still Mitchell. And the corner given away by Alan Both. The strong run in there of that man David Mitchell, who caused so many problems for Israel. They're showing his danger against New Zealand. And his persistence there has won a corner on that far side for the Socceroos. Just over 11 minutes gone, still no score. This corner to be taken by Joe Watson. Putting this one in, Mitchell with the header. Safely into the arms of the keeper. With David Mitchell there climbed so well. It was a good forceful header. The corner coming across from Joe Watson. Mitchell so dangerous in those situations and safely taken by Frank Van Hatten. Now Oscar Crino. Still Crino playing that near post. Kosmina. 1-0. John Kosmina. Franco Rocky's on his feet. But John Kosmina took that goal so well. The goal coming after 12 minutes. Delight there from Frank Errock. And there's the goal scorer, the skipper John Kosmina. This ball slid in there by Oscar Crino. And Kosmina had his back to goal, turned, made that yard of space and gave the keeper absolutely no chance. For John Kosmina, his 24th goal in the green and gold. And what a goal. And there's the scoreline. Australia 1, New Zealand 0, and we've had 12 minutes. So that's brought this Australian crowd to life as New Zealand now get a free kick to be taken by their skipper, Alan Both. New Zealand, of course, knowing that they could get away this afternoon with a draw. Australia knowing that they've got to win as the offside flag is up. In fact, Colin Walker was the player caught offside. So that one goal lead will certainly please that man, Frank O'Rourke, and the whole of the Australian bench. Mitchell winning that challenge in the air. Davidson, now Watson. Watson trying to play it for Ratcliffe. Took a deflection. Ratcliffe there recovers quickly. David Ratcliffe, such an important player in the Australian defence, the Iron Man of the team. And of course, this week he became a father for the first time. And now Mitchell. Jennings. Charlie Yankos. Playing it all the way back for Terry Greedy. So Mitchell. Now Walker for New Zealand. Certainly Colin Walker, an outstanding player for New Zealand. Just 24 internationals, he's managed 17 goals. Upended this time by David Ratcliffe. And the free kick's been taken, and this is Winton Rufer. Stopped there by Oscar Carino. Illegally, says the referee. Well, there didn't really seem to be too much from this angle wrong with that challenge from Oscar Carino. But New Zealand have been given the free kick. 15 minutes gone. Australia 1, New Zealand 0. Now the Australians have got some defending to do. So this is Alan Both. Loading this one in. In fact, that came off the head of David Mitchell. So New Zealand now get a corner. David Mitchell there appealing that he was being pushed. But the corner's been given. So New Zealand have got plenty of height forward. Ricky Herbert's moved forward, as has Malcolm Dunford. As Steve Summer crosses that corner, it comes off the head there of David Mitchell. He knew very little about it, and cleared by Kosmina. Now Creswell. This is Sumner. Creswell. And John Kosmina back helping his defenders. And that came off of Steve Sumner. Throw to Australia. So John Kosmina leading this Australian team by example. Back there helping his defenders. Alan Davison with the throw. Now Kosmina just hooking that one forward off the head there of Ricky Herbert. Now Oscar Carino. Easily picked out by Ricky Herbert, spreading it wide. This is Winton Rufer. Dispossessed there by Graham Jennings. And now Kenny Murphy. Jennings has made a run on the far side. Murphy comes in the other direction and picks out Alan Davidson. Now David Mitchell. Still Mitchell. Playing that one all along the ground, picking out John Kosmina. Still Kosmina. Twisting and turning. Davidson. Now Kenny Murphy. The centre was charged down by Kenny Creswell. So a throw for the Socceroos. And certainly it's been a bright opening from the Socceroos, as Kenny Murphy now prepares to take this long throw in. Back-headed there by Mitchell. Taken by Frank Van Hattem. Certainly David Mitchell is causing a few problems for this New Zealand defence in the air this afternoon. Getting on the end of this long throw from Kenny Murphy. Well taken by the keeper. off the head of Steve O'Connor. A throw on the far side, just in front. The coach, Frank O'Rourke, who checks his watch. We can tell him there's 17 minutes gone. Throw again to New Zealand. So Shane Rufer. Colin Walker being pushed by Graham Jennings. So a free kick for New Zealand. Shane Rufer trying to steal an extra couple of yards. So Rufer floating this one in. Safely taken by Terry Greedy. Got a bit of a nudge from Steve Sumner, but hung on to the ball. Well flighted free kick this though from Shane Rufer. It hung there. And Terry Greedy took it well. Ball. In fact, the free kick goes the other way. Goes against David Mitchell for doing some pushing. A few tempers starting to get a little bit frayed out there. So a free kick again for New Zealand. So on both, the skipper. Planting this one forward. Over the head of everybody and away for a goal kick. So some of the crowd still coming in for this international. Certainly a big crowd. As we said earlier, the last time that this ground will be used, after today, it will be condemned. And a new sports arena, seating 40,000 people, will be built. And that should be built in time for the bicentenary in 1988. Now Mitchell touching that one on, looking for Oscar Crino. Still Crino, riding that challenge well. And forward now for Alan Davidson. Now Oscar Crino. Side for Joe Watson. Watson floating that one, looking for the far post. Off the head there of Mitchell. Away by Ricky Herbert. Now Mitchell with the shot. And over the top from David Mitchell, although the referee's whistle had gone for the challenge by John Cosmina on Ricky Herbert. Oscar Crino, who really had a big hand in that move, laying it off for Joe Watson. Floating that one in. Again, an awkward ball which was hanging there, won by David Mitchell. And the free kick was given for that challenge there by John Cosmina. Now Davidson. Mitchell. Battling play there from Steve Sumner. Now Grant Turner away from Ratcliffe. Still Grant Turner. That one intercepted by Graham Jennings. And this is Kenny Murphy. Certainly Murphy showing no ill effects of that injury that kept him out of last week's match. Playing that one forward, looking for Graham Jennings. And not even Graham Jennings with his speed will be able to get on the end of that one. So Kenny Murphy will be pleased to have got through the first 20 minutes. Always awkward for a player coming back from injury. Steve O'Connor there is penalised. So a free kick again for New Zealand. Steve O'Connor, who's been keeping tight rein on Winston Rufer. As Alan Both takes this free kick. Away there by David Ratcliffe. And the clearance from John Cosmina. Nobody forward though for the Socceroos as they come out now en masse. Charlie Yankos has stayed back. But off the head there of David Ratcliffe, and the long shot coming in from Winston Rufer. So Winston Rufer, who scored last week, was certainly delighted this New Zealand bench. That shot had gone in. Rather hopeful though from that range. Now Oscar Crino. Cosmina. Davidson. John Cosmina. Faced there by Evans. Still Cosmina. That one easily cut out by Grant Turner. Turns it back to his keeper. So just over the halfway point of this first half, Australia 1, New Zealand 0. The goal coming after 12 minutes from John Kosmina. So Steve O'Connor. Safely back to Terry Greedy. And Steve O'Connor now can set something up from the back. Now Yankos. Charlie Yankos. Had some outstanding matches for the Socceroos in this qualification series. Mitchell. Seeming there to being pushed in the back. Referee waves play on. Now Ratcliffe. Now Creswell. Watson was in there first. Good interception there by Alan Davidson. Into the path now of Oscar Carino. And forward for Joe Watson. Alan Both's the player coming across for the New Zealand. Still Joey Watson. Around Both. Still Watson. Chipping this one in and tips over by the keeper. Lovely skills there from Joe Watson. He went round Alan Both as if the New Zealand skipper wasn't there. And then he tried the most delicate of chips. And it really brought the best out of the New Zealand keeper. The ball went one way, Watson went the other. And then this delicate chip just tips over, which gives the Socceroos a corner. So Joe Watson, the player involved in that move, taking this corner. Now Davidson. The player caught offside, in fact, is David Mitchell. The linesman on this side, Mr. Bucker, who also comes from Holland. Let's do the other two officials today. So Carino winning that challenge in the air. Now Herbert. Shane Rufer. Winston Rufer. Now Ricky Herbert. Bundling challenge there by Murphy, but Murphy certainly took the ball. And some of these decisions, not to the liking of that man, Frank Rock. Certainly there seemed to be nothing wrong with that challenge from Murphy. It was hard, but it was fair. As Grant Turner gets on the end of that free kick. His header not really with the power to beat Terry Greedy. So Terry Greedy with the chance, planted this one well forward. And now Kosmina. Spreading it wide. Davidson. Now Both. And Steve O'Connor just hooking that one inside. Well, the linesman put his flag up and two Australian players stopped, and then he admitted he'd made a mistake because there was a fender who was hanging back. But by then, of course, the impetus of the attack had been lost, and that was the culprit, Mr. Backer. Now Oscar Carino spreading it wide on that far side. Graham Jennings making a run forward. In fact, Graham Jennings has been penalised. Well, I would think some of the refereeing decisions not really pleasing the Australian bench. They're certainly not pleasing the crowd. Some of them a little strange to understand, to say the least. Now Yankos. Way back to goal was blocked. Picks out Jennings. Now Yankos. Now David Ratcliffe, and the Socceroos there playing themselves out of trouble well. Still Ratcliffe. David Mitchell there bundled over. The free kick goes to Australia. Ironic cheers around the Sydney Sports Ground. The challenge came in from Kerry Evans. So a free kick for the Socceroos. David Mitchell was the player brought down. So Kenny Murphy to take this free kick. And floating this one in off the head there of Mitchell. Favour there, favouring the All Whites. Now Yankos, forward for Watson. Still Watson. Faced there by Steve Sumner. Throw goes to the Socceroos. So Joe Watson, who had an outstanding match in Tel Aviv for the Socceroos. Time beaten for the ball by Winston Rufer. Now Oscar Crino. Still Crino. Faced there by Herbert. Playing that one into the path of Alan Davidson. Cosmina. This is Creswell. Ratcliffe for Australia. And Steve O'Connor playing it wide, looking for Kenny Murphy. Straight in fact to Shane Rufer. Now Graham Jennings. Yankos. Murphy. Now Jennings. Try to play that back first time to Kenny Murphy. New Zealand now with players forward. This is Winston Rufer. Nobody moving that far forward for them. It's Oscar Crino. Steve O'Connor slowing things down at the back for the Socceroos. That's the view that Terry Greedy has of the Sydney Sports Ground. As he's now got the opportunity. Getting this one well into the New Zealand danger area. Now Cosmina. Gain off the hands of Kenny Creswell. Referee waves play on. Davidson. That's the highest of the afternoon. Ball swerving around in the wind. Mitchell losing control. Now eventually comes back to David Mitchell. Mitchell playing it forward. Cosmina and Mitchell combining well there. Good play there by the two Sydney City players, with Cosmina and Mitchell combining beautifully. It was David Mitchell who got the final cross in. Good ball that though from Cosmina. The shot there well struck by David Mitchell. So Australia have got a free kick to be taken by Charlie Yankos. In fact, David Ratcliffe takes it quickly. Now Oscar Crino. Jennings. Now Watson. Still Joey Watson. Now Oscar Crino. This is Kenny Murphy. Missed kick by Alan Both, the New Zealand skipper, and Winston Rufer. Trying to get New Zealand on the break quickly. This is Kenny Creswell. Still Creswell. Away there from Davidson. Losing control. 30 minutes gone. Australia 1, New Zealand 0. This is John Cosmina. Still Cosmina. Not showing too much of that to Malcolm Dunford. He tied it up and all the way back to his keeper. So handball that time against Colin Walker. So a free kick for the Socceroos. Colin Walker used to play for Barnsley in the English Second Division. He's been the top goal scorer in New Zealand for the last couple of seasons. Now Mitchell. Playing that one into the path of Alan Davidson. Still David Mitchell. Still Mitchell having quite a tussle there with Kerry Evans. Davison just floating this one in. Now Oscar Crino. Pushed off the ball there by Grant Turner. Now Crino recovering well. Trying to play that one through for Kenny Murphy. Yankos. Now Crino. Straight to Grant Turner. This is Ricky Herbert. Now Winston Rufer. Still Rufer on that far side. Kenny Murphy was the player coming across. Throw to New Zealand. So this throw to be taken by Shane Rufer. Now Walker. So Colin Walker. Stopped there by a combination of Graham Jennings and David Ratcliffe. And David Mitchell. Kerry Evans was the player tidying up for New Zealand. So Van Hatham. Good challenge that time by Steve O'Connor, winning that one in the air. Steve Sumner just hooks that one forward. This is Colin Walker. Still Walker. Fending off David Ratcliffe. Now Shane Rufer. And intercepted by Joe Watson. Jennings. So Graham Jennings today making his 16th appearance for the Socceroos at full international level. Given acquaintances with the number 12 in the New Zealand team, Ricky Herbert. Of course, they were teammates at Sydney Olympic. So now Creswell. Intercepted there by Oscar Carino. Cosmina trying to play that one into the path of Mitchell. And tidying up was Kerry Evans. And that really was an important interception. David Mitchell there was on his way. John Cosmina putting through his Sydney City teammate, and a good bustling run by David Mitchell, and Kerry Evans there first for the Kiwis. Now Oscar Carino, good bouncing ball. Carino doing well to control it. Now Davidson. Murphy trying to play that back to Davidson. Good play that time by Ricky Herbert. Now Winston Rufer. Being pulled back by Steve O'Connor. So the free kick quickly taken. Steve Sumner. Still Sumner in space. And the shot there from Creswell charged down. And the Socceroos there escape. And the Socceroos there got themselves in all sorts of trouble. And Kenny Creswell had two bites of the cherry. The first one was charged down. It came back to him again. This time he tried to chip it in. It rebounded away there. And eventually to safety. Now Kenny Murphy. Handball there by Grant Turner. Surely the referee wastes play on. And also Carino winning that challenge against Steve Sumner. This is Joey Watson. Murphy. Socceroos slowing it down. Of course, the Socceroos, they know they've got to win. New Zealand be happy to go from here with the draw. Now Oscar Carino looking for his skipper, John Cosmina. Still Cosmina. And Cosmina there adjudged to have used his hand. And in fact, John Cosmina has been given a yellow card for something that he said to the referee. And there's the incident. Cosmina there just touching it with his hand. And John Cosmina gets the second yellow card of the afternoon. Cosmina gets the yellow card for this incident. Just a touch there of the hand on the ball. And then he argued the decision. Now Creswell. Really challenged that time from David Ratcliffe, not to the liking Mr. Hertz, the referee from Holland. So another free kick for New Zealand. Just about 9 minutes to go to half-time. Still the Socceroos leading by a goal to nil. That goal coming after 12 minutes from John Cosmina. So both at the far post, away there by Ratcliffe. Now Watson, a little bit away from the danger area. And this is David Ratcliffe. First time ball through for David Mitchell to chase. Alan Both, the only player at the back. Mitchell there running into the back of Alan Both. Referee's pulled up play. In fact, has given New Zealand a free kick. But a long ball out of defence by David Ratcliffe, and David Mitchell there was on his way, running into the back of Alan Both. Really nothing in that challenge. And New Zealand have got a free kick. Now Walker off the head there of Ratcliffe. Wait this time by Graham Jennings. And Grant Turner using the elbow. This time Colin Walker's the player upended by Graham Jennings. So free kick again for New Zealand, to be taken by Shane Rufer. Away by Charlie Yankos. Graham Jennings getting that one forward. And his father was Alan Both. Floating this one in off the head there of Shane Rufer. John Kosmina taking that one right off the foot of Charlie Yankos. So New Zealand get a throw-in. Kosmina there, back helping his defenders. Took that right off the foot of Charlie Yankos. So Kenny Creswell with the throw. Creswell again. Not able to pull that one across. Ball goes out of play for a goal kick. So Kenny Creswell plays for Gisborne in the New Zealand League. 26 years old. Made his debut back in 1979 against Norwich City. So Yankos taking this goal kick for Terry Greedy. Straight in fact to Grant Turner. Now Yankos. So solid and dependable at the back for the Socceroos. This is Winton Rufer. Into the path there of Grant Turner. Stopped by Charlie Yankos. Now Mitchell. Still David Mitchell. Being held back, but still manages to get away. Still Mitchell. Plays it square into the path of Kenny Murphy, who was completely unmarked. Still Murphy. Floating this one in, Kosmina going. A good punch away there by the keeper. Frank Van Hattem. One of the few survivors in this New Zealand side from the 1982 World Cup. As Kosmina fails to get on the end of it. A mistake there by both. Now Kosmina. And away this time by Dunford. Creswell tidying up and all the way back to Frank Van Hattem. Frank Van Hattem, Ricky Herbert, Steve Sumner, Winton Rufer and Alan Both, the survivors from the 1982 World Cup finals in Spain. Grant Turner would have been in that side, but he missed them through injury. Now Walker. Creswell. Pushing that one through, no problems for Terry Greedy. So 5 minutes to go to half-time. Australia 1. The goal coming after 12 minutes from John Kosmina. New Zealand 0. Now Davidson. Ratcliffe. Davidson. Way back to O'Connor and in turn all the way back to Terry Greedy. David Mitchell there, pushed completely out the way by Kerry Evans. Free kick for the Socceroos. Ironic cheers there from coach Frank Arok, who faces east and bows. So this free kick to be taken by Joe Watson. Ratcliffe coming in at the far post. Off the head there of Mitchell, away by Shane Rufer. Now Oscar Crino. And it wide for Kenny Murphy. Still Murphy, he's got away from Shane Rufer. Still Ken Murphy. It took a deflection, it could have gone anywhere, and it finished up in the arms of the keeper. There's some good running there by Kenny Murphy. Kenny Murphy got round behind the defence, got away here from Shane Rufer. Good intelligent cross, took a deflection, could have gone anywhere, and finished up in the arms of the keeper. Now Winton Rufer. Looking there for the penalty. The dive would have been worth about 6.5. Away by Joey Watson. Now Creswell. This is Ricky Herbert. Spreading it wide, looking for Colin Walker. Walker there getting a favourable bounce. And that came off of Graham Jennings. So a corner on the far side for New Zealand, with just about 2.5 minutes to go to half-time. Again, an opportunity for New Zealand to push the big men forward. Ricky Herbert and Malcolm Dunford have both moved into the Australian 18-yard box. So this corner to be taken by Steve Sumner. What a wasted corner behind the byline. Certainly won't be very happy with that. Poorly struck corner, no pressure on the Socceroos, and away in fact for a goal kick. So Steve Sumner, most experienced international in fact in this New Zealand side, today playing his 103rd game for the All Whites. Now Shane Rufer. That came off of Graham Jennings, a throw on the far side to New Zealand. Now Ricky Herbert, Walker, this is Grant Turner. Again, Winston Rufer, trying desperately hard to get a penalty. In fact, John Cosmina there penalised for feet up. So another free kick for New Zealand. So Alan Both. The final 60 seconds of this first half. Safely taken that time by Terry Greedy. That could have gone anywhere. Worrying moment for the Australian supporters and players. Safely taken by Terry Greedy. In fact, that came off the head of David Ratcliffe, making sure that his St George teammate was awake. Now Colin Walker. Davidson. Forward now for Joey Watson. Still Watson. Faced there by Alan Both. Still Watson. Still Watson, just trying to touch that back for Alan Davidson. He got a knock in the process. Steve O'Connor there rescuing the situation for the Socceroos. Now Yankos. Jennings. Now Kenny Murphy. As the half-time whistle goes, the first half, it's been a good display by the Socceroos. It really has been a good competitive match. But the goal came after 12 minutes from John Cosmina, and that's the goal that separates the two teams. For John Cosmina, it's his 24th goal in the green and gold. It's one that could prove to be so important. The half-time scoreline here at the Sydney Sports Ground is Australia 1, New Zealand 0, and we'll be back after this break with Les Murray.
At the sports ground, apart from the high stakes, of course, that are in the game. But in the 13th minute, Australia was fortunate enough to go ahead through a brilliant goal by John Cosmina after a pass from Oscar Crino on the right. John Cosmina holding off his challenges very well to slot the ball in high and wide into the top left-hand corner. The teams are not quite yet on the park for the second half. An excellent crowd here at the sports ground, incidentally. The estimates are a bit varying, 15 to 20,000 certainly I would make it on this beautiful day. And so lots in store for the second half in this World Cup match. Let's go up now to a commentator, Mike Hill.
So there's the scene at the Sydney Sports Ground as we await the arrival of the two teams for this second half. Sydney skyline in the far distance. The pitch, although it looks in immaculate condition, is rather hard and very, very bumpy. It hasn't been used for a couple of months. And not too much work has been done on it. Of course, remembering this ground straight after this game will be demolished to make way for a brand new 40,000 seat stadium. So still we're awaiting the arrival of the two teams, and this is the goal that separates them. It came after 12 minutes in the first half. And it was John Cosmina, the Australian skipper, doing so well there, making that yard of space and giving the goalkeeper absolutely no chance. So that's the goal that separates the two teams. Still no movement, in fact, from the dressing room area. Certainly the good sized crowd enjoying ideal conditions here. Good sunny Sunday afternoon. In fact, the 3 officials, all from Holland, spent this morning down at Bondi Beach swimming. Temperature today about 24 degrees. So the fans, as we do, wait patiently for the arrival of the 2 teams. The New Zealand team now on their way out. It'll be interesting to see if either sides have made any changes at half-time. New Zealand side led out by the linesman, Mr. Bakar. Now the arrival of the Socceroos. So it'll be interesting to see if there's been any substitutions. A quick look over the Australian side, seems to be intact, as does New Zealand. So New Zealand will be getting the second half underway. John Kosmina, whose goal separates these 2 teams. So in fact, it's an unusual occurrence. Both linesmen checking the goalposts and nets for the start of this second half. And you don't see that very often in international soccer. So for Australia, it's a vital 45 minutes. If this scoreline can remain, it means that the Socceroos will have a date at Hampden Park in Glasgow against Scotland on the 20th of November. But there's still 45 minutes to go. As New Zealand get the second half underway, now kicking from left to right. Straight there to David Ratcliffe. Cool play from Ratcliffe, picking out Mitchell. Now Oscar Crino. Still Crino. Still Crino, running into trouble. And Murphy in there first. Now Kosmina. Davidson. Now Mitchell. Watson. Crino. Graham Jennings slipping. Covers quick enough to keep the ball in play. Now Charlie Yankos. And all the way back to Terry Greedy. Greedy now wearing a cap to protect his eyes against the sun. Now Graham Jennings. Still Jennings. Looks so good when he goes forward, Graham Jennings. Not afraid to take on defenders. Still Graham Jennings. Faced there by Alan Both. The throw goes to the Socceroos. So Kenny Murphy, the long throw specialist for the Socceroos, taking this throw in. Looking for the head of Mitchell. Ball bouncing awkwardly. Mitchell, and tipped over by Frank Van Hattem. Good save that by the keeper. But David Mitchell pounced on that half chance and denied by that man Frank Van Hattem. The problems all came from the long throw from Kenny Murphy. The ball bouncing awkwardly, and Mitchell with a forceful header tips over the bar. And now Watson takes the corner. And the header down from David Mitchell. And the Socceroos go 2 ahead. The goal coming 2 minutes into the second half. And David Mitchell brings elation to Franco Rock and that Australian bench. For David Mitchell, his 11th goal for the Socceroos. A long corner, the goalkeeper came, committed himself, and Mitchell climbs above everybody, nods it down, and 2 minutes into the second half, Australia 2, New Zealand 0. And David Mitchell, his 11th goal in the green and gold. And what a revelation he's been in these playoff matches. And now Colin Walker for New Zealand. Away this time by Charlie Yankos. It's the start the Socceroos wanted for the start of this second half. Now Ricky Herbert. Away this time by Charlie Yankos. And the clash between Yankos and Herbert. It seemed from this angle that Herbert was doing the kick-in, but New Zealand get the free kick. So Charlie Yankos trots back to organise the Socceroos defence. So Colin Walker, the free kick specialist, is the player over the ball for the All Whites. The Socceroos have pulled everybody back. Winton Rufer also hanging there. Rufer with the shot, and safely taken by Terry Greedy. Winton Rufer, the player who came back from FC Zurich, who really hasn't had too much influence on this match this afternoon. There's the free kick shot, saved by Terry Greedy. At the other end, it's Shane Rufer, who dispossesses David Mitchell. So off the head that time of Steve O'Connor. Throw this time to New Zealand. Now Winton Rufer. Away again by Charlie Yankos. Ricky Herbert. Still Herbert. Again safely taken by Terry Greedy. As Grant Turner was the player coming through. Yankos. Away this time by Alan Both. Now Jennings. Again played after the ball by Grant Turner, and now John Cosmina on his way. Oscar Krinos made a run into the area, and off the head there of Ricky Herbert and away for a corner. Ricky Herbert was the player chasing back. He was only too pleased to concede the corner. So again, Joe Watson is the player that comes across to take it. Ricky Herbert, who really has settled in well to this New Zealand side. Remembering, of course, he only arrived this week from England, from his club Wolverhampton Wanderers. He's conceded this corner, now to be taken by Joey Watson. Again, far post ball. Mitchell climbing well. Now Kenny Murphy. And the ball charged down and away for a corner. The Socceroos again appealing for a penalty. I think it was a case there, the ball striking the hand, not the hand striking the ball. But again, there was problems for New Zealand from this corner. And the shot came in from Murphy, charged down and away for another corner. Joe Watson's gone across to the other side to take it. So Watson with the opportunity of floating this one in. Ratcliffe and Steve O'Connor have both gone forward. That took a deflection. Now Winton Rufer, dispossessed there by Graham Jennings. Crino, now Kenny Murphy. Still Murphy. Murphy with the shot. Fisted away there by the keeper. Good shot from Kenny Murphy. And an equally good save from that man, Frank Van Hattem. Frank Van Hattem today playing his 40th match for New Zealand. And this shot from Kenny Murphy really brought the best out of him. Good shot from Murphy from outside the penalty area, tipped away there by the keeper for this corner. As there was some pushing, which now results in a free kick for New Zealand, which will relieve the pressure. There's a shot again from Kenny Murphy. A good one-handed fist away there by Frank Van Hattem. Now Murphy. Cosmina, the player chasing through. The ball will beat him. So a throw this time for New Zealand. So Shane Rufer to take this throw. Kenny Murphy there, miss-kicking. Throw goes again to New Zealand. Grant Turner leaves it for Shane Rufer. And now Ratcliffe. Just turning it back for his George teammate, Terry Greedy. So Terry Greedy hasn't had too much to do, but what he's had to do, he's done well. You can't ask more than a goalkeeper than that. Mitchell. Again, winning that challenge in the air. Certainly caused a lot of problems this afternoon, David Mitchell. So the ball out of play for a goal kick. Yeah, Watson. Good skills from Joe Watson, but stopped there by Winston Rufer. Now Walker. Turner through that challenge from Ratcliffe. Creswell. Faced there by Davidson. New Zealand here building up nicely. Walker laying that one off, but easily picks out by Charlie Yankos. And now forward for David Mitchell. Mitchell stopped, in fact, by Kerry Evans. Now Shane Rufer. Davidson beaten in the air. Still Davidson. Time riding the challenge well from Grant Turner. No love lost between those two since their days at South Melbourne. And now Graham Jennings, and he's got some space ahead. Still Jennings. Murphy. Trying to play that one down the line for Jennings. Picks up the loose ball, Kenny Murphy. Eventually stopped by Shane Rufer. Now Graham Jennings. Mitchell. Jennings. To the path of Mitchell. Now Oscar Crino. Still Crino. Faced there by Alan Bowes. Still Oscar Crino. Away for a corner. Lovely skills there from Oscar Crino. One of the most gifted players in Australia. There's so many silky skills, and some of them there were on display for everyone to see, and it was good to see at that. So a corner for the Socceroos. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Australia 2, New Zealand 0. Watson. Far post ball again off the head there of Ratcliffe. And now Murphy. The shot from Murphy finishes up well wide, but in fact it took a deflection, and Australia will get a corner. But these corners are starting to cause problems for New Zealand. Not the best of clearances there, and Murphy's shot takes the deflection and away for another corner. So Joe Watson going to float this one in. This time a shorter one. And Charlie Yankos coming in at the far post. Just failed to get a touch. So Watson again with the corner. This time shorter. And Yankos coming in just failing to get a touch. Some worrying moments now for that man, Frank Van Hattem. New Zealand wanting to make a substitution on the far side. And Declan Edge, I think, is the player that's going to come on. And Steve Sumner is the player that goes off. So Declan Edge comes on, wearing the number 15 shirt. So a free kick this time for the Socceroos for that challenge by Grant Turner. Declan Edge, of course, who played in that game in Auckland, the 0-0 draw back in September. Crino is still down and in a lot of trouble. The referee won't let anybody come on to give him treatment. That really was a bad challenge from Grant Turner. Charlie Jurisic, the Australian physio, wanted to come on. There's the challenge. Feet high, feet flying from Grant Turner. The referee's given another yellow card, and this time to Joe Watson. So Watson gets a yellow card. Still Oscar Crino is down. And at long last the referee lets Charlie Jurisic come on to give some treatment to Oscar Crino. But really the referee in there leaving a lot to be desired. Certainly Crino couldn't get to his feet. The Australian players were trying to help him up. And now he gets some attention. In the meantime, of course, Joe Watson has got a yellow card. The referee might be full of smiles, but certainly his display this afternoon has left a lot to be desired. Still Osakrino receiving treatment. Zarko Ozhakov starts to warm up on the far side in case he's going to be required. And so does Jimmy Batikas. Mind you, the way Osakrino's playing this afternoon, he's been playing as well as two men. But Osakrino gets back on his feet. Not walking too freely at the moment as New Zealand take their free kick. Now Edge, faced there by Davidson. Walker. This is Declan Edge. Still Edge. Away this time by Charlie Yankos. Grant Turner. Now Declan Edge. Still Edge. Good cross in and away by Steve O'Connor. So Declan Edge, who's an out-and-out winger, one of the youngest players in this squad, only 20 years old, is the player to take this corner. So away by John Kosmina. Edge again, just floating this one in. Greedy comes, takes it safely, although he was caught by the best of the challenges from Ricky Herbert. Terry Greedy, who's looked so safe this afternoon. It's on the end of this cross, just floated in there by Declan Edge and caught by Ricky Herbert. So 15 minutes gone of this second half. Australia 2, New Zealand 0. Now Edge, stopped by the challenge from Alan Davidson. Now Watson. Still Joey Watson. Now Yankos. Forward for Mitchell. David Mitchell, the scorer of Australia's second goal. Murphy. And now Joey Watson. Kosmina. Now Murphy with the shot. Safely taken by Frank Van Hattem. But Kenny Murphy, who's got forward this afternoon at every occasion, brought the best out of the goalkeeper earlier. This time a snapshot is safely fielded by the keeper. So a free kick for New Zealand. Herbert. Now Colin Walker. Still Walker. This is Winston Rufer. Now Grant Turner. Trying to do what Kosmina did earlier. Not too successfully. Now Shane Rufer. Touched away from him by Graham Jennings. Now Osakrino. Seems to be fully recovered from that knock. Watson. Finding space now on that far side. Still Watson. Away there from Alan Both. Mitchell's in the 18-yard box. Still Watson again away from Both. And then at the best of crosses from Joe Watson. Got some lovely skills there from Joey Watson, who I think was caught after he played the ball across by Alan Both. But some delightful skills. Got past Both twice. Went outside him that time. So he tried to cut inside. Went round the other way, and then he was caught, in fact, after he crossed that ball. Now Watson again. Just failing to keep it in on that far side. Throw to New Zealand. Now Colin Walker. This is Declan Edge. So a throw now to the Socceroos on the far side. So Kenny Murphy, the long throw specialist. Going short this time for Davidson. Away by Evans. Davidson. Away this time by Both. Now Davidson. Murphy. Kosmina just touching that one on, looking for David Mitchell. And now Shane Rufer. this Declan Edge. Certainly has given better direction for New Zealand since he's come on. He's spread it wide. He's taken up a position on that far side as a left winger. Brought down that time by David Ratcliffe. 20 years old, Declan Edge. Not afraid to take on players. As Osakrino leads the charge out for Australia. Past two New Zealand players. Mitchell's made a burst through to Mitchell. Middle. Cosmina was also coming through as Crino tried to pick out Mitchell. Crino again. Now Watson. Still Joey Watson. Still Watson. Trying the shot which came off of Malcolm Dunford. And eventually tied it up by Kenny Creswell. So now Murphy, dispossessed there by Winton Rufer. Creswell making a run through, still Kenny Creswell. Way there by Charlie Yankos, a throw on the far side as New Zealand now want to make another substitution. New Zealand making another substitution as soon as they can attract the referee's attention. As Colin Walker is the player putting that one across, now Shane Rufer. Floating one in, fisted away there by Terry Greedy. Greedy and Grant Turner getting caught in a confrontation at the back. I think the linesman on this side saw something going on. Whether he's going to do anything about it or not is debatable. So the player to come off is Shane Rufer. And I think the player coming on Richard Mulligan, in fact, is the player to come on. So Richard Mulligan, who's a defender, is the player that comes on. Today making his 15th appearance for New Zealand as Terry Greedy there, called on to make a save of so much importance, which he does so easily. Good save there by Greedy. Declan Edge was the player with the header, and a fine save by the Australian keeper. Now Ratcliffe. Davidson. Breaks now nicely for John Cosmina. Still Cosmina. Mulligan, the player, tidying up for New Zealand. Mulligan come on. Straight swap, in fact, for Shane Rufer as a fullback. Now Jennings. Good skill there from the Sydney Olympic fullback. Still Graham Jennings. Still Jennings being forced wide now by Mulligan. Still Graham Jennings. Murphy takes over. And trying to cut that one back, away by Creswell. This is Grant Turner. Now Winton Rufer. Made a meal of that challenge from Steve O'Connor. So Steve O'Connor, who's kept Winton Rufer pretty quiet this afternoon. Not too much in that challenge, but the dive convinced the referee. Now Mulligan. Still Mulligan, away there from Murphy. This is Grant Turner. This is Walker. Still Colin Walker. Stopped there by Charlie Yankos. And Yankos with the clearance. Evans was the player in there first for New Zealand. So a throw this time for the Socceroos, just over the halfway point of the second half. Australia 2, New Zealand 0. And a scoreline that, if it can remain that way for the next 22 minutes, will give the Socceroos a date at Hampden Park in Glasgow on November the 20th to play Scotland. So Murphy with the throw-in. Cosmina there, just pushed straight off the ball. Well spotted by the referee. Ironical cheers around the Sydney Sports Ground as a free kick is given to the Socceroos. So Watson, the player over the ball for Australia. David Ratcliffe's moved forward. So Watson looking for Mitchell. Mitchell with the header, and just over the top from David Mitchell. Acknowledges the well-taken free kick from Joe Watson. Floated to that far post, and Mitchell, with that skill of being able to hang there, gets on the end of it and nods it over the top. O'Connor. Yankos, all the way back for Terry Greedy. Now Cosmina. Skills from John Cosmina. Still Cosmina doing well to keep the ball in. Now Graham Jennings. And that skill from Cosmina gets a good applause from the crowd. Now Murphy. Jennings. Just chipping this one in off the head there of Mitchell. Goalkeeper comes, not the best of punches away. He finds his skipper Alan Both. And now Mulligan. It's possessed there by Kenny Murphy. Still Murphy. Still Kenny Murphy. And that one hard and low. Safely taken again by the keeper. Certainly Frank Van Hatten has been the saviour for New Zealand this afternoon. That time denying the Socceroos through intercepting this cross from Kenny Murphy. Good shore handling from the keeper. Now Yankos. John Cosmina was judging the bounce. Now Mulligan. He's failing to keep this one in. Richard Mulligan plays for Gisborne in the New Zealand National League. And now Murphy. Good ball forward into the space there for Graham Jennings. Jennings chipping that one. Not too far wide from Graham Jennings. I think Graham Jennings likes more to do than to get forward. Started his career, of course, as a left winger. Got away this time from his opposite number, the fullback, and chips this one in, and it wasn't too far wide. So Oscar Carino. Charlie Yankos tidying up now all the way back for Terry Greedy. The ball goes loose and finishes up with Joe Watson. Still Watson. Now Carino. Still Carino, now Watson. Watson there dispossessed by Alan Both. This is Creswell. Still Kenny Creswell. Away that time from Oscar Carino, playing that one forward for Declan Edge. And Yankos tidying up and all the way back for Terry Greedy. Australia starting to warm up a substitute on the far side. Zarko Ozhakov, the player to come on, and I think he'll be on to replace the Joe Watson. He's taking a couple of heavy knocks. Cosmina that time seemed to be tripped and the referee weighs play on. Now Carino. He's touching that one forward. This is Mulligan. Now Jennings. So Mulligan with the throw. As Australia now want to make a substitution. And Zarko Ozhakov is the player coming on. Joe Watson is the player to go off. Joe Watson, as he did in Tel Aviv, really had a great game for the Socceroos. Congratulations there from his coach Frank Harrop. He gets an early mark, and Zarko Ozhakov is the player that comes on. And this is Ozhakov. Of course, he scored a hat-trick last week against Chinese Taipei and tries his luck there from about 35 yards out and pushes it over the bar. Zarko Ozhakov there picking up the ball on the halfway line, bouncing awkwardly for him, tries the shot, starts the dip, but not enough. Now Graham Jennings. And Steve O'Connor playing that one all the way back for Charlie Yankos. Charlie Yankos, who's marshalled the Socceroos defence so well this afternoon. In fact, for Australia, it's been a good all-round team performance. So pushing that time by Alan Davison gives New Zealand a free kick on the far side. So worrying times now for Kevin Fallon, the New Zealand coach. As his team are trailing by 2-0. And now watch, there's just 16 minutes left. Davison again penalised, this time for the challenge on Declan Edge. Now Edge. This is Kenny Creswell. Right across the face of the Socceroos goal. Now Mulligan just failing to keep it in. The ball out of play, a goal kick for Australia. So Kevin Fallon leans forward, puts his head in his hands. Certainly he's been the most uncooperative of coaches that one could ever wish to meet. But he knows that his team have at least got to get a point here this afternoon. Otherwise their World Cup campaign is finished. So 30 minutes gone of this second half. Just 15 minutes left. Australia 2, New Zealand 0. Now both. This is Colin Walker. Creswell. Creswell there, dispossessed by Zarko Ozhakov. Mitchell. Picking out John Kosmina. New Zealand now starting to push players forward. They could be exposed at the back. Kosmina there trying to play that one into the path of Graham Jennings, in fact, who had really made a good run forward. Now Oscar Crino. Kosmina. And Steve O'Connor. Yankos. Spreading it wide for Alan Davidson. Davidson there away from Creswell. Zarko Ozhakov. Still Ozhakov. Pushing off Declan Edge. Away there from Alan Both. Both there caught by the challenge from John Kosmina. And certainly Alan Both hasn't been backward in coming forward this afternoon with a few hair-raising challenges. He's the player down now as the Socceroos come forward again. This is Kenny Murphy. Still Murphy. Now Davidson. Now Yankos. Ratcliffe. Socceroos slowing it down. They'll play it at their pace now. They're in the box seat. They lead by 2-0. Davidson. Now Zarko Ozhakov. Davidson. It came off the head of Malcolm Dunford. So a throw on the far side for the Socceroos. So Kenny Murphy. The opportunity of planting this one right into the danger area. Looking for the head there of Kosmina. Oscar Crino! And just wide from Oscar Crino, and there was the chance to seal this game up finally. That's what Franco Rock thinks of it. A long throw in. Touched on by John Kosmina. Bounce in there for Oscar Crino, and his header finishes up too high and wide. So now Grant Turner. Forward for Creswell now, who's playing as an out-and-out striker. Started as a defender. Declan Edge. That came off of Alan Davidson. Declan Edge gets a free kick for the challenge by Davison. So Creswell. This is Colin Walker. Walker. Colin Walker there, looking for a penalty. An ironical cheers, in fact, that it wasn't given. So Colin Walker, such a dangerous customer for New Zealand. 17 goals in just 24 appearances for the All Whites. It's been closely marked this afternoon. So Murphy, just touching that one on. It goes all the way through now to Frank Van Hattem. Touched back by Steve O'Connor. All the way through to Terry Greedy. So Oscar Crino, still Crino running into trouble in the shape of Grant Turner. Kosmina spreads it wide. This is Zarko Ozhakov. Still Zarko Ozhakov. Now Murphy. Phoning this one in. Kosmina. Kosmina. Kosmina! And it took a deflection from the shot from John Kosmina. But John Kosmina has looked so sharp this afternoon. That first goal he scored was a gem. So close here to making it his second goal for the afternoon. Again, twisting and turning, making that yard of space. And the shot goes wide after it took a deflection. So the corner this time to be taken by Oscar Crino. John Kosmina in the 6-yard box. Waiting for this one to come across. Less now than 10 minutes to go. Australia 2, New Zealand 0. Oscar Crino with the corner. Van Hattem comes, takes it comfortably. Certainly New Zealand this afternoon can thank the form of that man, Frank Van Hattem. It really has been outstanding. Now Jankos. Just pushing that one forward. Again, wasting some valuable seconds. This time Jankos wins the challenge in the air. Both playing it all the way back to his keeper. This will suit the Socceroos, of course. Keeping it away from their danger area. Winston Rufer, that time beating David Ratcliffe. Now Walker. Turner. Now Mulligan. This one safely taken by Terry Greedy. Greedy, of course, has been outstanding this afternoon. A good throw out by the keeper, sets the Socceroos on their way with Zarko Ozhakov. All breaks down. Now Colin Walker. Winston Rufer trying the shot all the way along the ground. Safely taken, though, by Terry Greedy. Certainly Winston Rufer this afternoon hasn't had the space to show his undoubted talent. He's been well marked by Steve O'Connor. But he's been restricted to just a couple of long-range shots. So off the head there of Malcolm Dunford. So a throw for the Socceroos. Signals going out from the Socceroos bench. I now watch, there's about 8 minutes left. So Ken Murphy, the long throw specialist for the Socceroos, and those long throws this afternoon have certainly caused a few problems. It's the player to take this throw in. Looking for Kosmina. Got a touch. Now Oscar Crino. Zarko Ozhakov. Crino heading for space on that far side. Still Oscar Crino. Turning this one in. Mitchell winning that challenge in the air. Now Murphy. Still Murphy. Now Graham Jennings. Jennings! And just wide from Graham Jennings. Well, Graham Jennings has never been known as a prolific goal scorer. In fact, the last time he scored was back on the 20th of June, 1982, and that was for his club, Sydney Olympic. But surely he won't go much closer than this without getting the ball in the back of the net. Well set up there by Kenny Murphy. An awkward angle, and only inches wide. Now Ricky Herbert. Mulligan. Placed there by Jennings, still Mulligan. Greeno comes across. Now Ricky Herbert. Looking for Colin Walker on the far post. Away there by Alan Davidson. Now Declan Edge with the shot. Safely taken though by Terry Greedy. Graham Jennings just touches it back to his keeper. Time now running out for New Zealand. They've still got one more match to play in this Oceania qualifying tournament. That's away to Israel next Sunday in Tel Aviv. But a loss here this afternoon will make that game purely academic. Now Mitchell. Still David Mitchell. Still full of running as he has been all afternoon, but stopped there by the challenge from Grant Turner. Turner's pass there, playing Mulligan in trouble. Now Graham Jennings. So Steve O'Connor. This is David Ratcliffe. Certainly it's been a good, composed performance by the Socceroos this afternoon. They're starting the toy with New Zealand on that far side. And this is Zarko Ozhakov. Davidson. Certainly the Socceroos side has had the best possible build-up over the last couple of years as Murphy tries a long shot, which finishes up wide. Started for Frank Rock back in 1983 with a 3-match series against England. And then warm-up matches last year in the World Soccer Series against the likes of Juventus, Manchester United, Notts Forest and Heracles. A world tour at the end of 1984 that took in China and Europe. And then of course this year the international series against Vasco, Tottenham and Udinese, which of course the Socceroos run. And then the series against Red Star when Australia came out on top after 4 matches. Certainly the ASF and their marketing company, the ASF Marketing, can be well proud of what they've done for this Socceroos side with these matches. The build-up has been so important. As you see now, the Socceroos pushing the ball around with so much confidence. And the New Zealanders doing the chasing. Graham Jennings sets off to go forward. That came off of Kerry Evans. So a throw now for the Socceroos. Less than 4 minutes to go. Australia 2, New Zealand 0. Goals coming from John Cosmina after 12 minutes. And David Mitchell after 47. And this is Mitchell. Still Mitchell. Mitchell, shot charge down. Now Zarko Ozhakov. Heavy challenge again from Grant Turner. Greeno. Now Zarko Ozhakov. Murphy. Just floating this one in. Safely taken though by the keeper. Well, certainly Kenny Murphy, who was in doubt for this game with an injury, has come through with flying colours. As is that man Frank Van Hatten. He was never in doubt. He's so far ahead. He's been the first choice in New Zealand. Certainly this afternoon his form has been immaculate and he really can't be blamed for either of the Australian goals. Now Ratcliffe. Mitchell. Alan Davison tidying up for the Socceroos. Now watch now, less than 3 minutes to go. And surely now the Socceroos have got a date at Hampden Park on November the 20th. They take on the might of Scotland in the first of 2 matches, the second back here in Australia on December the 4th. Steve O'Connor punching that one forward. He'll waste some more valuable seconds as the ball goes out of play. So a goal kick for New Zealand. Steve O'Connor has been so solid at the back for the Socceroos. In fact, it's really been an all-round good team performance by the Australian team. Scotland have a spy out here in Andy Roxburgh. their assistant coach, who was certainly impressed with the Socceroos' performance in Tel Aviv when they downed Israel. I'm sure he'll be very impressed with their performance here this afternoon. Nothing flashy, very workmanlike, but put together with a lot of skill. As New Zealand now try to go forward, Graham Jennings there hooking that one away. Only his father is Richard Mulligan. Still Mulligan, away this time by Charlie Yankos. Now Ricky Herbert, and the shot from Herbert, a couple of feet wide. Well, Ricky Herbert, who's one of the survivors from the 1982 World Cup, played out here with Sydney Olympic. And in fact, was taken to England by the former Sydney Olympic manager, Tommy Docherty, and signed for Wolves. It was Ricky Herbert shooting there, and the shot finishing up just wide. So now watch, we're into the final 60 seconds. Now Mulligan. Now Carino, dispossessing Mulligan. Mulligan gets the ball back. Now Winston Rufer. Crowd here at the Sydney Sports Ground this afternoon, 21,000. Which is certainly a good crowd. Most of them being Australian fans tonight will go home very happy. Franco Rock singing on the bench on the far side. Might be a good soccer coach. I don't think he's got a recording contract there. So another throw on this side as the singing goes on the far side. Eddie Thompson will be returning to his native Scotland. This is Steve O'Connor. And all the way back for Terry Greedy. On our watch now, we've played 20 seconds of stoppage time. Certainly it's been a good professional performance and confident performance by the Socceroos, and there was an example of their confidence. Alan Davison there just lifting that one back into the goalkeeper's arms as the final whistle goes, and New Zealand have been beaten, and New Zealand are out of the World Cup, and Franco Rock is elated. So's his assistant Eddie Thompson. It's been a campaign that has taken 2.5 years. But now Franco Rock will lead the Socceroos to Hampden Park in Scotland. Kevin Fallon, the New Zealand coach, who really has been shouting his mouth off all week of what the New Zealand team are going to do to the Socceroos, could now find himself out of a job. Personally, I couldn't say it couldn't happen to a nicer fella. The Socceroos now come to this side of the ground to accept the adulation of part of this 21,000 crowd here at the Sydney Sports Ground. There'll be an afternoon to remember. Joe Watson there, hugged by David Ratcliffe. Watson, who did so much good work in the first half. David Mitchell scored the all-important second goal. It's so nice to see Australian flags and the Australian crowd on their feet applauding an Australian soccer team off the park. The boxing kangaroo there, certainly all their resources, all their strength and all their character is going to be required now when they have to go to Hampden Park in Glasgow to meet Scotland. But that's the applause for the Socceroos as they leave the Sydney Sports Ground. They can now start preparing for their trip to Scotland. But John Cosmina's goal, which came 12 minutes into the first half, was the goal that started it all off for the Socceroos, and a goal 2 minutes into the second half from David Mitchell was the goal that really settled the issue. So a 2-0 win here at the Sydney Sports Ground as the Socceroos go off. An afternoon for everybody here in Australia to remember. The final scoreline, Australia 2, New Zealand 0.